Shalom. My cat is moving my camera, as you may have noticed. Hey, stop it. Speaking of spiritual remedies to depression and anxiety, pets work. But that isn't why I started this stream. On Friday, I spoke with Andrew and Richard, and you guys may remember that Andrew made quite a bit of a splash when he said that we are not talking about the important things in this little corner. And I decided to speak to him some more about that on Friday and gain some more clarity into what he meant. And I very much agree with what he was trying to say. And it was actually quite interesting to me that what he said very much resonated with a post I made years ago on Facebook. And generally what I have been trying to do with not just this channel, but really with my life for a while now, and how I got involved in Jordan Peterson at all. So I pulled up this quote from Zevi Slavin on Seekers of Unity, which I think is very relevant. Just play it on.
In an interview in 1955, on the occasion of Jung's 80th birthday, Jung made the offhand remark in which he said, quote, "The Hasidic Rabbi Ber of Mezrich, whom they called the Great Maggid, anticipated my entire psychology." Let's find out why.
So, for somebody who considers himself a not active, but a failed disciple of Hasidism, the confluence between what psychology says that we need as human beings and what Hasidic philosophy has said for the past 300 years is what we need as human beings is almost too faith reaffirming. And what I did say to Andrew was it almost feels like confirmation bias for me to say the same things that I have been saying. So this is the note that I made on Facebook, March 14th, 2021. Wow. Basically almost exactly 2 years ago. Cognition, rectification, and Chabad. Over the summer, I learned that someone I knew at Chabad at USC completed suicide. We recently gathered at the Chabad house to remember him. It was a difficult time. Rabbi Dov Wagner spoke about how the living should learn lessons in remembering those who have passed. Take it to heart. V'achai yiten al libo. Ben's father spoke about how they wish they had known how he was suffering so they could have helped him more. I spoke about how Ben was always smiling and the permanent dimple that reminded me of him. And Ben Beasy, he was always smiling. He was the type of guy who walked into the room and people took notice. He had many friends. He seemed to have everything going for him. He was a successful attorney, had a strong and great family, um, good friends, but behind that smile, he was suffering in ways that really only someone who truly has grappled with the meaning crisis that so many people today have can understand why a person who had seemingly everything felt like he had nothing and in fact ended his own life. Uh, the question that really bothered us, all of us, was what could we do? I proposed the only answer that could come to my mind, but it simply didn't seem enough. I suggested that we all learn about cognitive distortions and how to diffuse them. This is the best way we know, scientifically proven, to treat anxiety and depression. It may even work better than medication. And I certainly do strongly recommend what's called cognitive behavioral therapy to everyone. It is not merely something that is a remedy, but it is preventive as well. And there are many CBT apps and workbooks available. And funny enough, when we were talking about ChatGPT this morning, what has become perfectly clear is that these book apps and books work better than even many, if not most, if not almost all um, psychotherapists. Although speaking to Eamon Wilson, um, who is a psychotherapist, a psychologist in Canada, he very much explained how some that works for people with very high cognitive abilities, but someone with below intelligence IQ simply can't get it out of a book. Somehow that just felt short. We were at Chabad. It was a clinical answer to what appears to be a spiritual problem. Surely Chabad would have a Jewish answer to the horrible epidemic of suicide we face. The Torah was given to us so that we may live, l'chaim, to life. At the same time, a platitude like "do another mitzvah" also didn't do it. It seemed both superstitious and unavailing. Putting on tefillin and lighting candles helps us connect to Judaism, feel spiritual, and build a community. It doesn't cure depression. I was reminded of the story about the page of Hasidic teaching that was found in a mound of garbage. The Alter Rebbe had analogized the spread of the mystical, secret parts of the Torah to the jewel of a king's crown. If the prince was sick, the king would destroy his crown to use the jewel to heal him. If the prince was so sick that the precious medicine made with the precious jewel would spill, let it spill. That story never sat well with me either. Medicine needs exact dosages. You don't just spill medicine all over the place in the hopes that some of it makes it to the right place. Medicine that heals one person can kill another. The sayings of the sages warn us that teaching without care may lead to disaster. This is a common criticism of Chabad within Judaism, that they are too free in spilling the precious Torah everywhere. Then it hit me. The book of the average person. Not only are the lessons that today's psychologists tell us will keep our minds healthy ancient truths, not only are these truths contained within Judaism, the methods of cognitive behavioral therapy actually mirror the fundamental teachings at the core of Chabad philosophy. Unlike all other Hasidic dynasties, Chabad is not known simply by the name of the city it originates from, Lubavitch. Chabad is an acronym of the three mental faculties as taught in the Kabbalah. It takes its name from the first letters of Chachma, wisdom, Binah, intelligence, and Da'at, understanding. The essential text at the foundation of Chabad is usually referred to as the Tanya, which is the first word of the book and simply means it was taught. The actual title of the book is simply Likutei Amarim, collected sayings, which is also the title of many other Jewish books. The unique title which the author gave it always puzzled me. The first part is called Sefer Shel Beinonim, that translates to the book of the average person, people. To say that I had difficulties with the text is an understatement. 3 particular things always bothered me about the Tanya. First, I always bristled at the story of the well-known and saintly Rabbi Hillel Parcher reading it and saying, "If only I were an average person." I never saw how it is a good thing for someone to think of himself as less than the great man he was. Second, I was always uncomfortable with the line, "How could Rabbah err?" It seems presumptuous to me to say that a sage of the Talmud acted in such clear error. This is a fundamental question at the beginning of Tanya, is how could Rabbah, who is a sage of the Talmud, err? Third, I could not understand why the essential text would be about being a Beinoni, average person, instead of a tzaddik, righteous person. Except that is precisely what psychologists tell us is the healthiest way for a person to view themselves. The essence of CBT is to see things through the middle path, as Maimonides summarizes in Hilchot Deot, the laws of ideas, I guess you could translate it. It's at the beginning of the Mishneh Torah. 1.4, the straight path. This involves discovering the midpoint temperament of each and every trait that man possesses within his personality. This refers to the trait which is equidistant from either of the extremes without being close to either of them. Therefore, the early sages instructed a man to evaluate his traits, to calculate them, and to direct them along the middle path so that he will be sound of body. Using CBT techniques to avoid extremes, it makes sense even for a sage like Rabbah to view himself as an average person. The attempt to be perfect, not accepting any faults within yourself, has been shown to be emotionally harmful. The story of Hillel Parcher no longer makes me bristle in that light. Most importantly, it makes sense for Chabad houses on college campuses to be spilling these ideas everywhere. Cognitive distortions are a poison that are literally killing our young. These patterns of thought that are surprisingly similar to those long identified by cognitive behavioral therapists as causes of depression and anxiety. Unlike other medicines, which you should not give the healthy, CBT techniques act to prevent mental illness. Like an encompassing light, it doesn't conform to its vessel and makes no distinction between healthy or sick. Even a person who is constantly smiling to hide his depression can be helped. I intend to spend some time finding the correspondence between various CBT techniques to avoid cognitive distortions and what I know of Judaism. There are many specifics, and I am no expert in either. The similarities, however, have given me a lot of hope about the ability of Chabad houses to help remedy some of the most important problems facing our society today. And ultimately, this is the discussion that I was having with Andrew, which is that ultimately if we're serious about our belief that religion is the answer, that the answers are to be found in the holy books, if we believe that God has revealed a truth that is fundamental and important to who we are and how we live, then it should come as no surprise that the teachings of the Maggid of Mizrich, as Carl Jung put it, anticipated the entirety of his psychology, anticipated the entirety of what he found to be useful and good. And honestly, it took me speaking with Andrew to reorient myself in this way towards the basics of Hasidic teaching. Ben and I have been on Thursdays trying to do deeper takes, deeper dives into those teachings of the Rebbe that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs anthologized in his book Torah Studies, and to try to dig deep into what I would call the top shelf of the Torah, the crown jewels of what has been revealed in the Torah. And honestly, it is a leap of faith for me to assert that this is the way. It does feel like it's confirmation bias, but essentially, this is what I know. This is what I understand, and the fact that science and religion are pointing to the same truth is beautiful, is great, is something to celebrate. And so I've decided, especially now that the Randos United channel is taking off, and Moishi is taking over the project of building the cathedral, I will focus on my pew. And my pew, I'm sorry to hear that, Suzette. We should talk. We should talk, definitely talk. And my pew is a sincere belief that Chabad moach sholet al halev, that the mind should rule over the emotions, that tikkunim, that the teachings of the Kabbalah, of the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mizrich and his students, their students, those are the ways forward. A proper balance of love and awe and awe and love. That's part of the discussion I've been having on Twitter regarding what I think is a major problem, in that love has become an idol. And I think part of the problem of Christianity, more than anything, is that it is the idolatry. The idolatry of Jesus as the perfect story, the idolatry of love. And my pew is that place where we believe Hashem Yichud Kudsha B'Richu Shchinte, in order to unify the Blessed Holy One and His Spirit, B'Tchilu Richimu Richimu Tchilu, with awe and love and awe. And the Kabbalists speak about lower awe, lower fear, lower love, higher love, and then higher awe or fear. And indeed, these are steps on a ladder. The Baal Shem Tov referred to them, awe and love, as the two wings by which the Torah flies, and how it is impossible to fly without them. And lower awe, which is fear of punishment, leads to lower love, which is a hope for reward, which leads to a higher love, which is a love which is not dependent on anything, which leads to a higher awe, which similarly is an awe that is not dependent on anything. A completely spiritual love and awe that is pure and, in a sense, beyond us. Yad el Keska, Milchama Havaya Ba'amalek Dor. And these are concepts that are far beyond me. I am speaking at the outer edge of everything that I know. But that's the beauty of it, is that I am speaking at the outer edge of everything I know. I am a tiny ant standing on the shoulders of giants. And that sea of Torah is so much beyond anything I can express. But maybe I can be a conduit for people who know even less than I do, to attach themselves no, I did not say Nechama, I said Melchama. Although maybe that verse would be better as Nechama than Melchama. Melchama means war. Nechama means rest and comfort. So, yeah. If people want to come on and discuss, I am going to put the link in the chat. I do have to leave. I have an appointment at 4:00 today, so I will only be on for another hour or so. Yeah, quite the difference. And we can discuss the important stuff. But I guess just to sum up, I do believe that God creates the remedy before he creates the illness. And I shouldn't need Carl Gustav Jung to say that his entire psychology was anticipated by the Heilige Magid of Mizrach, to believe that the revelations of the Maggid have incredibly important things to say to our day specifically. This is the essence of Hasidism, is the belief that in every generation there are saintly people who have been commissioned by God, on whose shoulders the world rests, and who can help guide us, um, if not into the promised land, but at the very least into the desert. I'm reminded of the Rebbe's Nigun. Uh, the Rebbe, so Hasidic Rebbeim are known for also um, composing songs, usually songs without words, but the Rebbe composed a song to words from Psalms. Um, Grizz says, "So let me get this straight. You got some Jew Nostradamus you want to tell us about?" Well, Jung said it was the Heilige Maggid, and who am I to disagree with Jung? If he wants to say that Heilige Maggid was a prophet in his time, before his time, and I'm umming again. In the psalm, I won't afflict you with my voice and my bad music. I highly recommend looking up Matisyahu's version of this Nigun by the Rebbe, which the title is misspelled. Tzama L'chol Nafshi, which I find amusing because he misunderstood the words of the psalm. But the words are Tzama L'cha Nafshi, my soul thirsts for you, not like Matisyahu thought. Kama L'cha Basari, my flesh fasts for you, withers for you. Be'eretzia ve'ayef, in dry and weak land, bli mayim, without water. Ken bakodesh chaziticha, similarly in the holy places I have seen you. To see your strength and your glory. Okay. Yeah, I think those are the words. So Jung said he's a prophet. Give us some of the hot prophecy. He said that the Maggid anticipated his entire psychology long before him. Teachings. Well, that's the funny thing about the Maggid, and Andrew pointed out that this has been the case often. The Maggid himself never actually wrote anything that we know of. I don't believe we have any. I think there is a book, Likutei Amarim, which is attributed to the Maggid, but his teachings were disseminated by his students famously, the Alter Rebbe wrote the book Tanya. The Rebbe Reb Melech wrote the book Noam Elimelech, and the Rebbe Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev wrote the Kedushat Levi, and I certainly intend to share some things from those. Chad says, been dealing with bad depression as of late. So you know what? Let's do something that'll hopefully help. Tanya, where is the text of Tanya? Could you please text of Tanya? There we go. That's in English. I don't want Tanya in plain English. I want Tanya in Hebrew. Can you please give me Tanya in Hebrew? This is not Tanya in Hebrew. This is really bothering me. Why can I not find the Tanya? Well, here's lessons in Tanya, which hopefully has the Hebrew. Yes. Okay. Nechama.
Hi. I think I'm getting a sore throat.
That's not good. You should have a shlema.
I should have a what?
Refuah shlema.
Amen. Thank you. I do have a tea, so hopefully
That should do it. So how much have you been listening to?
Most actually. I tuned in, I think like 2 minutes after you started. So
Okay.
I caught all of it. Yeah.
So I was going to do the first page of Tanya. If you want to do the first page of Tanya with me.
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's do the first page of Tanya. Tanya, Besof Perik Shlishi the Nida. It is taught in a Mishnah saying at the end of the third chapter of the tractate Nida, Mashbiin oto tehi tzadik v'al tehi rasha. That before a person is born, his soul is made to swear by the heavenly hosts that you will be a righteous person and you will not be an evil person. Va'afilu kol ha'olam kulo omrim lecha tzadik ata. And even if the whole world tells you that you are a righteous person, heyeh be'einecha kerasha. You should be in your own eyes as if you are an evildoer. V'tzarich lahavin, and this is calls for an explanation. This is difficult to understand. The Hatana, that behold, we also have a Mishnah saying in the sayings of the fathers, Pirkei Avot, which I highly recommend everybody read Pirkei Avot, the sayings of the fathers. The Mishnah Avot, I quote it constantly. Va'al tehi rasha bifnei atzmecha. You should not be an evil person in your own estimation. V'gam im yihyeh be'einav kerasha. And let's say that you do consider yourself as an evil person. Yira levavo v'yihyeh atzef. You will, your heart will be grieved, and you will be depressed. V'lo yuchal la'avod Hashem b'simcha u'v'tuv levav. And it would not be possible to serve God with happiness and with a contented heart. I guess I did need the translation. Ve'im lo yira levavo. And if he doesn't become grieved by this, klal mizeh, at all, that he thinks of himself as an evildoer, yachol lavo lidei kalut chas v'shalom. He could come to not actually care at all about whether or not he is a good person, God forbid. Ach ha'inyan. Rather, we have to understand, and honestly, the rest of the entire book is about understanding this. Ki hine matzinu b'gamara he chalukot. That in the Talmud, actually, there are 5 different levels of souls. Tzaddik v'tovlo, a righteous person and good belongs to him, and he's going to explain what that means. Tzaddik v'ralo, a righteous person and evil belongs to him. Rasha v'tovlo, an evil person and good belongs to him. Rasha v'ralo, an evil person and evil belongs to him. Uveinoni, and somebody who is intermediate, someone who is in the middle. Ufershu begamara, and they explained in the Talmud, tzaddik v'tovlo, that somebody who is righteous and good belongs to him. Tzaddik gamor, that is someone who is perfectly righteous. Tzaddik v'ralo, tzaddik she'eno gam, that a righteous person that evil belongs to him, that's someone who is not completely righteous. Uvaraya mehemna, parshat mishpatim. And so Raya Mehemna, I believe, is in the Zohar. Yes, it is in the Zohar. On the Parsha of Mishpatim. Perish, it explains. Tzaddik avaralo, someone who is righteous and evil belongs to him. Shahara shebo kafuf latov. That this is a person who has evil within him, and he turns it, he moves it towards, he bends it towards good. Uvgamara sof perek tishi divrachot, and in the Talmud at the end of the 9th chapter of the tractate of brachot, tzadikim yetzer tov shoftim chulu. Righteous people, they are people who are being ruled over by their good inclination. Rashayim yetzer hara shoftan, that evil people, their evil inclination rules over them. Beinonim ze vazeh shofta, but an intermediate person sometimes is ruled by his good inclination, sometimes by his bad inclination. And in the words of who wrote Gulag Archipelago?
What's his name?
Solzhenitsyn.
Hmm.
The line between good and evil, it goes through each human heart.
Yeah.
Amar Rabba Kagon Ana Beinani, and Rabba, who's a great sage of the Mishnah, the Gemara, said, I'm an intermediate person. Amar le Abaye. Abaye said, who is another sage, said to him, Lo shavik mar chaya lechol bir ya. He says, if you're an if you're an intermediate person, what is everybody else? And I'm not. I mean, there's only so far we can go in Tanya in this time, but what the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain is that we have to understand different people are born with different capacities to do good and different capacities to do evil. And what God expects of us is that we take those things which are evil within us and bend them towards good. And that's actually the milchama. That is milchamat havaya. That is the war of God, the war of being, really. I mean, is that
That's the actual war, the internal one.
yeah, jihad. And yeah, it's something that we have to understand. Like, I'm never going to be like those, and you've met them, those people who are just so nice and good all the time that, you know, they never get caught with their pants down, you know? They're always like, and I've met people like this, and they're beautiful and great people, and I admire them, and they're saintly people. But the fact that that's not me is not something to be depressed about.
Yeah, I agree.
That's something to recognize and to see yourself as someone who sometimes falls and sometimes is able to get back up, and try to get up, back up whenever you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how much Tanya have you been exposed to before?
Not much. I haven't spent much time with the Tanya. I've spent far more time with Pirkei Avos, let me say that. Pirkei Avos is one of my favorites. So.
Oh, I tell Christians all the time, at least the first 3 chapters, I would argue probably the first 4 chapters, but likely all 6 chapters of Pirkei Avot were things that undoubtedly Jesus had heard.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I don't think I'd be the same person without Pirkei Avos. It's such a huge part of shaping who I was, because I would read it every Shabbos, waiting for Shabbos to be over. The last 2 hours, I'd read Pirkei Avos. So, like, every week for years. So, as a kid, and I was obsessed with it. I just thought it was fabulous. So
it is fabulous. It's absolutely like, I quote it constantly, and it's something else. So maybe we should have a Pirkei Avos share. You should do a Pirkei Avos share. Well, what do you mean, You spent so many.
I just don't. No, it's not about the Pirkei Avos part. It's about the taking initiative part. You know, that's all it is. I've yet to do another live stream. We'll see. It'll happen, but yeah, it takes energy. It takes energy.
It does. And honestly, the funny thing is, I find myself when I am most busy is when I am most capable. Like, it's funny. So my work is very seasonal as an insurance agent. And for some reason, I still find that those times that I am most busy at work are also the times that, not always, but I end up doing important and good work.
Well, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I was the most creative when I was in college because I was always trying to procrastinate, and I'd procrastinate by making art. So it
what
makes
time
sense.
is it right now? It's like 1 a.m.?
No. Oh, wow. It's actually much later than I realized. It's 11:45.
11:45. Okay, so it's almost midnight. Yeah.
Probably not going to hang around much more than half an hour, probably. Yeah,
well, I have to leave. I have an appointment. I'm getting my windshield replaced.
Oh, that's exciting. Hi, Chad. Oh, it's Dolly. Is that Dolly?
No, this is Rigsby.
Oh,
It's a
Oh,
good boy.
Rigsby and Andrew. Rigsby and Andrew. Look at that. How exciting.
Dolly's at the dog park with mom.
I see.
I didn't know Dolly had a sibling.
We just got him.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah. We can get,
Wow.
don't you? Don't.
Okay. Poll in the chat. Who's cuter, Rigsby or Andrew? Let's go. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. Well, it's finals week, so only as good as good can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
glad
it's
you can
all your
progress.
fault. I made this stream today.
Good.
I think.
Hi.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say hi.
Hello.
What are we talking about here, guys?
I mean, heck, I can give my critique again.
Give your critique again.
All right. Jesus fuck, I wrote this whole thing up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In general, I think like this little corner is too focused on propositional tyranny, right? Like by proposing propositional tyranny as the problem, we fall back into propositional tyranny. You might have to think through that. But it's not the meaning crisis, it's the meaning crises, right? Like this is what I was talking about last time with Amalek. Each of us embodies a meaning crisis, right? And it's also external, exapted, whatever you want to do with Vervaeke's language, right? Like, when we come into this stuff, we've already dealt with the meaning crisis. We're still dealing with it through our environment. And, it's not like we discover propositional tyranny and, oh, it's fixed. I have to go to church and do all this stuff. Like, no, we have to work through our lives and slowly work our way out of the meaning crisis. And if we continue focusing on propositional tyranny as the problem, we're not going to get past that. Which is why I'm very grateful for you, Jacob, for going into your tradition and trying to connect this stuff to actual traditions that are, out there. I can go to a synagogue, I can talk to a rabbi, maybe not me, but hey, right? And which is why I don't think like this stream itself is all encompassing of solving the problem, right? Like, I think us Christians need to do this, and even non-religious folk. Like, I know that includes the Marylander, and I think that's part of his critique. Right? You talked about CBT, how that could be helpful, but right now, like, as far as I'm aware, psychologists are absolutely horrible.
They are, but I have to say, and this is part of. So I was having a discussion with one of my nephews, and because of everything that he's seen, he's around your age. He was convinced. He's like, all these antidepressants and psychoactive medications, they don't do any good. And I was like, no, you don't understand. They do a lot of good. But that doesn't mean they fix everything. And part of the problems that we have is this totalizing desire for things to be perfect and things to completely make things good and perfect. And it's like, I don't have any perfect answers, but I have some things that are better than other things. And better is better. It's not perfect, but it's good, and we should turn towards things that are even a tiny bit better. You can't reject something that's okay because you want something even better than the okay. I mean, if there's something better than better, great. But just because I can't have steak every night doesn't mean that I should starve.
I will say though, like as far as the therapy thing, yes, it's not a black and white, but like it's not simply some are okay and some are good and some are great. Like there's a good portion that are like a minefield in which a person would end up like taken advantage of by that counselor, and so it's a little tricky there,
Oh,
especially somebody who's going to therapy wouldn't have necessarily the ability or the skills to discern if their therapist is a is a healthy,
Good.
wholesome,
Mhm.
decent, good versus a bad apple.
okay, so I have to say, now it's become, for me, I think therapists like have become secular materialist priests, and there's a reason you need why you need the community to pay the salary of your ministers. You don't expect the people who are most in need of help to pay for the people who are going to help them. And so this whole model of the people who need therapy paying for the therapy is just wrong in every way. It's we need to pay for therapists on as a community for the people who need it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I do think that like each of these traditions should be engaging with this stuff, because like, if depression's a spiritual sickness, then what's the whole deal with taking antidepressants?
Well, I can explain how the Baal Shem Tov explained it.
Go for it.
So the Baal Shem Tov was known as a healer, and he would make potions for people, and he would make amulets for people. And there was an obvious question somebody asked him is, if you're healing these people through spiritual means, like why are you making potions and amulets, and like what's this about, right? And so when you understand in Jewish spirituality, there's the concept of the name of God, which is ineffable, and the name of God, which is Elohim. And the term Elohim, it even refers to human beings in the Bible, right? The ineffable name of God needs to be clothed in that which is effable. And that's what it means. I am the Lord your God. The Lord is what we use for the ineffable name of God. And God is what we use for the term Elohim. And I am the Lord your God, meaning that I am the Lord. I am that ineffable thing. But you see me through Elohim. You see me through the natural processes and the material world. And that's important.
What I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How does this relate to antidepressants?
Yeah.
That because antidepressants are God's divinity enclosed in the natural processes of the world.
Okay.
Oh,
Trust-
I
Go ahead.
don't sign off on that statement. I don't. I just for the record, I do not sign off on that statement.
They can be. Let's put it that way.
No, it's like this. It's like people. There's something that the scientific community invented called Vivitrol, and it's for it's to combat cravings from different substances like alcohol or opioids. Okay, so people come into recovery. They don't know, but it's probably a root of a spiritual sickness. So then they end up being put on Vivitrol, and and the idea is Vivitrol should be something that kind of, it's not a permanent fixture. It should not be a permanent fixture. It should be something that is a guide while trying to get the real solution to your problem and embodied. And if you don't embody a real solution, you could be on Vivitrol for like a couple of years, but the second you come off of it, you're probably going to pick up again. I see it time and again, but they're not told that, and they're by the doctors. They just are told. I don't know. Some people, I've heard some people say their doctor told them that they thought they should be on this thing forever. It's like, that's not going to fix anything. And so I've stayed away personally from antidepressants for a couple things. I'm afraid of what other people will think about me in my recovery community if I take them, even though they all would say, go get outside professional help. I also have this other thing called an ego that tells me, but I should know better and I should be able to think my way out of this thoughts that are constantly plaguing me. Even though I can't seem to do that, I know that I can't. So I have a lot of fear around it. I'm afraid I'm gonna be flatlined on my emotions, so I won't be able to respond to the world in an emotional, intimate way. Like, I'm afraid if I watch a movie that I like, I won't be able to have the emotional responses that I am used to and that I like to have. And so all that scares me. And yet I'll just hunker down. I'm like a donkey that'll hunker down in a hailstorm, thinking and just waiting for it to pass. And it's painful. It's very painful. I've been dealing with this a lot for the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. It's very, 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 very taxing. And I do know that it will pass. It's just a lot to sit through while it's passing. A lot, and even in prayer and all the shit. Like, the delusion is, I should be able to pray and do this act or whatever, or get out of myself and go help somebody and just have the pain pulled away immediately. That's not how it works. And so the choice I'm left with is, do I just do what I continually do, which is just keep praying and keep trying to be useful, and the pain will pass. I know it will return. There's been moments where it stayed away for several years for the most part, but it's seeming to make its way back, which is a bitch, dude. Because it's like, when you have very graphic thoughts about exiting this planet that plague you for 12 hours of your awake time while trying to think of other things, it's painful. It sucks. And then, feeling like you can't tell people this. Well, I can't tell my wife I'm feeling like this, because, like, I should be more strong, and she's just going to tell me to go on SSRIs, and it's exhausting.
Okay,
Mm.
so I have to say, I mean, I've been on psychoactive medications for almost definitely over 10 years now, and um, the some of the side effects have sucked incredibly, and I did in fact I did in fact really, really, wow. I did not know that somebody who was not added to the wow, that StreamYard needs to fix that. Anyway, that's beside the point. The going back to what I was saying about SSRIs. So there was a time when I was taking one medication. It's called Lamictal, which has what's called a black box warning. And a black box warning means that one of the side effects is death. Okay? Now, in order for somebody to take a medication that has a black box warning, and the side effects that I had were pretty bad, right? You have to be in a very, very bad place. And I was. And thank God I used to be taking more than the maximum amounts of 4 different psychoactive medications. I am down to taking normal amounts of 2 medications. And frankly, my psychiatrists have told me I could wean myself off, but I'm a really cautious person and I've just been taking it like very, very slow, weaning myself off. But that's because I'm such an anxious person. I don't do anything quickly. But I have to say, I have seen antidepressants work absolute wonders with people who have dealt with depression for decades. And there's no question in my mind. I mean, I know people who it's been a world of difference for them. Now, does that mean that it's perfect or it's for everyone or it solves every problem? No, of course not. And you shouldn't expect it to be. And deciding whether to take a medication that is a prescription medication, there's a reason why it's a prescription medication. Otherwise, you could buy it over the counter. And frankly, I mean, if you were functioning okay and taking as much psychoactive medication as I was, it would drive you crazy. You cannot function as a normal person with normal psychology and then go ahead and you can't function as a normal person with a normal psychology and then take these drugs and continue to function in the same way. And so, look, if things are really bad for you, you should talk to a doctor and consider them and try them and maybe for a little while and certainly not as, oh, this is going to fix everything. But at the same time, this all or nothing that many people have, no psychoactive medications ever for anyone. And it's like, really? Never?
Okay.
For nobody?
So I have to say something. I'm fine with the middle path of like the right answer is there's 8 billion people. You're not going to get the same answer for everybody. That's insane and ridiculous. Some people's poison is another person's treasure. That's always going to be the case. But like these drugs are strong, and and this my experience has been very extreme, and it could be because I'm coming from New York. And so I've met and interacted and been the patient of a number of psychiatrists. And frankly, 90% of them I would not trust with my cat. Like, terrifying human beings. Like, I'm like, where's the human in the being? I don't know. Terrifying. So I'm really very hesitant to suggest that anybody go to a psychiatrist, because to me, I'm that's a frighten, like, the not giving any warnings or educating about what withdrawal is like. I went through years of horrible withdrawal, paranoia that I had never had before, just horrific. Being on medication I never should have been on, like, never. Um, Extremely strong drugs at a very young age, 16 years old, drugs that are not indicated for that age, that are in fact warned against strongly for that age. And thank God I survived it. But like, I lost a couple years of my life. I can't remember much. And not only can I not remember much, I didn't do much. Like, it's so, you know, like you say, it's very not black and white. And I'm not going to tell somebody who this is helpful to that they should go off, stop and don't do this and don't do that. I know a good number of people who are on medication. But do think it's important to be honest about the state of psychiatry. And
I could not agree more.
yeah.
I could not agree more. And part of the reason I decided to go for my master's of social work is because I feel like the fact that, so when I was in undergrad, it was known the people who were in the school of social work, who were getting degrees in social work, they were known to be crazy. Like, we knew to expect people who were getting, and this happens a lot. People who go to study psychology do so because their attention is wrapped on problems that they have. And it would be not as bad, like, okay, if you can't walk very well and you decide to go study like kinesiology or whatever, right? That's one thing. At the same time, so if you're studying psychology because you have psychological problems, that's bad. That doesn't work very well, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's happened, I think, with a lot of psychology. The American Psychological Association has definitely lost its mind. And frankly, I think part of the problem is it used to be people who studied theology were expected to have spiritual insight into the state of humanity, and we outsourced at least parts of that to these supposed psychologists. And frankly, I have to say, like, Freud, he was just like, his ideas were just projection of his dysfunctions on other people. And much of psychology is based on Freud, and it's bad. And so, yeah, there's lots of problems with psychology. At the same time, I have seen many people get better. Many people, including myself. Yeah. I used to not be able to leave my apartment. I used to have panic attacks if I left my apartment.
So I wanted to say something quick to Andrew. I don't think that the corner, this little corner, whatever the hell anybody wants to call it, it's we're not. I don't think we're necessarily here to. We're not equipped to solve the problem that you're talking about. We're just not. You know, we can help and share our experience with things like we're doing now. But for anybody else who's listening, might be thinking, "Oh, I'm going to hear something. I'm going to hear something magical that these people are going to say. It's going to fix me. It's not going to happen." And it was never supposed to. I don't think be that. I think we can tap into some good meaning, and we can if we're willing to receive some practical advice of other people's experience and the things that they've done that have helped them, or routes that they've taken. That's great, but we're not problem solvers. Clearly, we can barely even talk to each other, and so yeah, I see the problem though. I was in the beginning very frustrated with the circular conversation around propositional tyranny, which I think I still don't understand what that is. And if you were to go in like Discord and look at my old comments about, I would say things like theology is trash, just because it was like all it did was tie me up in the knots. It didn't get me connected to people. And what I really find is where I feel most grounded, really, is really trying to stretch and put myself in front of other people to the best of my ability and work closely with them in person, trying to make relationships. It's really hard because I don't like people. They terrify me. I'm very opinionated. I always have a resting bitch face. I always think that people think I'm either retarded or angry because they tell me that. And it's hard. People are very hard. And then on top of it, I got this asshole constantly with me in my head. It's constantly like I can't. Sometimes it's like if I were in a room with the guy that's in my head, I could just get up and leave and go somewhere and be somewhere else. But I can't because he's in my head. And so like I've had to learn to deal with it. I think for me the most poisonous thought is because I don't want to kill myself. Okay, I don't want to kill myself. But what I've gotten accustomed to is suicidal ideation as a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking it's a very poisonous parasite that and what I realize is it's really just me thinking about me, convincing me that I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about why do I have to deal with it? And so it's just this fucking asshole that's just a total dickweed, always in my fucking brain, trying to convince me just to listen to it. I don't think it really wants me dead, to be quite honest. I think it likes the chatter. It likes to chatter. But when like, and just to give you, just so that you know that I'm telling you the truth about my situation. I don't know if I should tell, because I don't know if I want to be that graphic with you guys about the stuff that goes on in my head, because the next thing I know is if I tell you guys this, you fucking guys are gonna be like, oh, every time you see, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Are you thinking about that? And I'm gonna be like, fuck off, dude. I'm just trying to be real. I don't need your help. I don't need spiritual surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, like, so there was a long time for a few years where I would drive home from work and there was like this train bridge. And every time I drove past that bridge, I would ask myself, or this asshole in my head would say, do you think that the extension cord in the garage would be able to hold a 300-pound man falling from 10 feet and it wouldn't break? Because that was a fear. Well, if I actually did do it and it broke, then I would just be maimed, and then I have to live maimed and be a maimed fucking asshole. And that was scary for me. But that thought was constantly in my head. And then I did do a lot of work. And, honestly, I probably have to do a lot of work again. That's really what it's probably boiling down to. There's some house cleaning I have to do. But recently, there's similar thoughts going through my head for the last few months.
Hmm.
And it's not a bridge. It's something in my house.
Hmm.
And it's constantly being like, it's just like it's just annoying. It's really annoying, and it's taxing. And
Yeah.
I probably should fucking go to a doctor, to be quite honest.
Honestly, I mean, it sounds like once you're actually thinking to the point where you're thinking about particular ideas, and it sounds like you're not very good at having ideas, because those ideas, like that bridge, you would bad way of doing it. Um, um, yeah, and like, but you know, once you're already down that road,
Mhm.
that's when you really should start. At the very least, you should be going to therapy on a regular basis.
Yeah, like since I was probably 9 years old, basically.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
I've never seen a therapist. I'm sorry, I just haven't. I haven't even gone to. I don't even have a. I haven't even gone for a physical to see a doctor in probably 15 years. So I'm not. Like that's doctors, and filling out job applications and voting are things that I don't do. Okay, and all probably for the same reason.
Okay. Um, Jordan Peterson had one rule which I really liked the power of, which is treat yourself like someone you're responsible for taking care of. Because I know one thing. So when I got my dog, it was my first dog. It was during the time when I had difficulty leaving the house. And I had such difficulty leaving the house that I would sometimes not have any food. And I would not have any food, and I would just be starving, right? And when I got a dog, one thing I would be forced to do is go buy food for my dog. And what was really clear to me was I would not let my dog starve, even when I was starving, right? And so I would ask you, if you were responsible for taking care of you, what would you say to you about going to a doctor?
I would say do whatever you want.
Okay.
I would say I can't tell you what to do. Some people say that this will work, and some people are afraid of it, and I understand, and I can't make you do it what you don't want to do.
Well, this is definitely. I mean, this is exactly what I do say to you. I um I certainly can't. You know,
My wife
I think it would help.
my wife is on SSRIs because she has real bad one. She had it really bad. She was off them for about a year, and she's like, nope, going back. I'm going back. And she's like, Chad, it sounds like you're dealing with depression. And I'm like, I'm not fucking depressed, dude. She's like, I don't know. Sounds exactly like what I've gone through. And I'm like, yeah, but, I don't know. There's a lot of excuses I have wrapped up in why I don't want to do it. There's a lot of fear around it. And all of my fears are irrational, just like every fear typically is. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever tried one of those CBT apps or workbooks?
No, because I don't do self-help. Self-help that's like
It's not self-help. It's
it
not
is
self-help.
help.
Well, it is, but it's
And
very different from. So it's very different about it. It's you writing, and maybe, I mean, that's what's hard about it for a lot of people, including me, is like just sitting down and writing in those workbooks and answering the questions. But CBT workbooks, especially for people as smart as you are, they really work.
A lot of this, I have practices that I'm already not doing, and I know if I did them, that they would really address the problem. I know this for a fact, and so it's just a matter of doing. But I'll sit down and I'll like today I went to work, right, and I had a bunch of things that I did at work, and at the end of the week or on Monday morning, I'll turn in my timesheet, and on my timesheet I'll write down what I did on Monday and what I did on Tuesday and what job I was at. Now, it would be really smart of me to, at the end of the day today, if I just wrote down from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., this is what I did and where I was at and this and that. But I want to wait until Monday morning so that I can fight myself to figure out what it was that I did, because I'm just lazy. I don't know why. I just like the harder way, and it's just the way I am.
We all fight with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so one of the things I remember when I was growing up, I really hated the fact my dad smoked. And I had tons of reasons why he should stop smoking, and I constantly tried to convince him to stop smoking. And one time I said to him, "Dad, why don't you just stop smoking?" And he said, when you grow up, you'll understand." And I got really mad at that, because I'm like, what am I not understanding? Except when I grew up, I understood that, guess what? And this is how you say it in Hebrew, and it just sticks with me. You're not the Baal Habayit. You're not the person who owns the house that you're in, right?
Right.
You don't actually control. Like, if I actually controlled what I did, I would not weigh what I weigh, and I would be exercising, and I would wake up, and I would go to sleep, and I would do all of the things that I rationally believe that I should do.
Yeah.
But we don't control ourselves that way.
And that there, I do take solace in that too, because I also know that I'm not the idiot that has the thoughts. I'm just the idiot that listens to them sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so I don't have to act on what goes through my head. And that's how I know, like, oh, this is just the fucker in my head, and it'll pass. So I know that if you're out there and you're dealing with that, I don't know. It's just a fact. It comes and goes. I'm gonna stop talking though for a little bit.
No, Chad, I'm really curious though, because you said that it seems like there was a period of time that was very forefront for you, and then you said sometimes years yes, years no. For you, and I think these experiences are very different for everyone, but for you, was it things that you did that turned the corner for you?
Yes.
That you could replicate, or was it just phases and time change and stuff like that?
So what happened was I reached the bottom in sobriety. I refused to like do this anymore, and I started working with a new sponsor. I went through the steps again. I did inventory work. I did fifth step work, which is like confession. I amped up on the prayer and all this different stuff. I made amends, and I actually really stuck to like working with other alcoholics. And there was like my whole day, like if my job started at 8 a.m., I would be at the halfway house by some dude at 6 a.m. and reading with him and doing step work. And if my job started at 6 a.m. and I got done at 2, I'd be at the halfway house at 3 o'clock, sitting down with somebody, working with them, spending time with them, helping them. and then I was really involved in that, and I felt purpose, I felt connected, and it's just a fact. You get married, you find somebody that you love, you get married, you buy a house kind of a little further away from the community, and you hit a new season where you're not able to do that every day like you would before. And so adjusting to that has been some of that. Dealing with, and then what happens is the less I'm connected with working with others directly, I'm actually slowing down on my daily practice of nightly review and inventory, morning prayer stuff. I'm just kind of I'm backing away slowly from spiritual practices that keep me connected.
The maintenance and the discipline, it can slip away. You can be really in a groove and the slipping is like really tricky because you're like, oh, I'm just not going to do it on Tuesday. Wednesday's fine.
Yeah, I'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to leave soon, but I wanted to quote my favorite chapter of the entirety of the Christian Bible. I'm joking. This is not my favorite chapter, but Romans 7. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For what I am doing, I do not understand. For what I will do, that I do not practice. For what I hate, that I do. If then I do what I will not do, I agree with the law that it is good. But now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. And I mean, I think all of us, I think pretty much everybody has that experience of sin dwelling in you and doing things that you don't want, that you know you shouldn't do, but you end up doing. And it's just part of being a human being.
It's a lot of it, honestly, is what we're doing right now. Like when I started connecting with the online space here and the bridges of meaning and all this stuff, I like shiny shit, man, and like I can become captured by attention seeking, and so I'm just being honest with you guys. Like I don't do hobbies really well. I don't balance things well. And so that's a lot of what this is too. It's just I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. So
and that's your first problem, Chad. I try not. I mean, being honest gets you nowhere. In my opinion.
Have you tried lying, Chad?
Sterling.
I can help you.
It was. I'm glad to see you because Sterling is even more of like a clown than Chad is, and
Sterling.
Chad can use Sterling. I have to leave, but Nahama's here and she has admin powers and she will conduct this after I'm gone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
You're not going to be good at it at first. I'll tell you that, Chad. It's going to be something that you learn that you have to practice. Like,
what, being dishonest?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a pro, bro.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right, hit me with
why?
Tell me a lie. Tell me a lie right now.
Used to living that way until you can no longer bear the weight of being that person because that's not who I really am.
You gave up on lying?
Fuck yeah, dude.
You're a quitter.
Yeah. When you start every day because you know it's directly attached to the lies that you're living out. That's what was going on with me.
Yeah.
And that's painful, man. If I could, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living a double life, it's not great for your psyche. It's rough. Can't last forever. The wheels start tearing up at some point.
Yeah. Let me just respond to your critique of my critique. I do not believe this corner will usher in the Messiah and everything will be as, flowers and roses and hand holding and whatnot,
What are we talking about? We have Sterling here. He's the Messiah.
Yeah.
We just have to grow out the hair a little more. We'll get there.
Yeah. Beard too. Yep. We've done a lot of outsourcing. A lot of this connecting to tradition stuff is outsourcing. And I'm perfectly fine if Jacob goes back into Judaism because, you know, I'm not going to be able to deal with his meaning crisis and like integrating his Judaism and getting him integrated into Christianity all at the same time. No. I think a lot of this stuff is the recognition that cognition is whatever external, right? Like my whole circumstance shapes my brain. That's kind of why we're pushing people into these traditions. And surprise, surprise, I'm Asian. I'm stuck in the machine, right? I go to college. I hate chemical engineering, but I'm doing it anyways, you know, and however many SSRIs I take, that's not going to change anything.
That's true.
You should probably only take one SSRI.
Yeah.
I mean, we can add something to it afterwards, but I don't know many people who condone doubling SSRIs. But just putting that out there. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we should, you know, recommend traditions with both eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said with eyes open?
Is
Yep.
there a way that you could?
Yeah, but take your SSRIs with your eyes closed. Just pick one.
Prozac or melatonin today? I don't know.
Oh no, well, no. Melatonin is a sleep aid. It's all natural. It's already within you, not an SSRI. But if you have Prozac or Zoloft, you know, or Paxil.
Is there a way that you can honestly reevaluate what you want to do with your education?
Dude, I've got Asian parents. What the? I'd have to.
I'm not saying throw it out. I'm asking you, is there a way that you can honestly reevaluate it in a way that you might find bearable? That you're willing to work with, you know, because this is your life. It's not theirs. You're the one who has to live with you, not them.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what you're struggling with now, it seems, living with you. With this path that seemingly has been given to you. You're not so pleased with.
Everyone struggles to live with me. I have to live alone. And I know that comes as a shock to you. To everyone.
Girl, bro.
Huh?
I thought you had a girl. Didn't you like
updates, Chad, updates?
Oh shit, bro.
They come and go.
What's up, guys, bro?
Huh?
Chad's not keeping up with Gossip Girl. That's the problem.
They come and go, bro. Like they come and go, man. It's not for me. I can't just have one, even at a time anymore.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hope my wife don't go because she's fucking great, man.
Oh no! Well, wives come and go too. Not as often and as frequent, but
yeah. Okay. Why?
I'm not condoning any of this.
Yeah.
What's that?
Drinking Nahama.
I've got licorice tea. It's delicious.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so good. I didn't know licorice tea existed. It's like from a plant, it tastes like sweet and woodsy. It's very, very different, very interesting.
Well, I better go take out Rigsby. Thank you, Andrew, for talking with me again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. I don't know. We're in it together, bitch.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Dad.
Good to see you, man.
Cheers. Yeah. We're in it together, bitch. That's what I told my ex as she was walking out, but she didn't want to. She
didn't buy it.
She already had one foot out the door. You know.
She said, "No, man, I want a refund." Hey, look, you gave it the old college try, Sterling. You did what you could.
Is it not my best?
Well, this was the second time around with her, right? So look, you did what you could.
Wow,
and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
Y'all remember this shit? Yeah, no, we gave it a second chance. It didn't work out. It's okay.
You don't know until you try, right?
And it's not my fault. That's what I want. That's the message I want to bring home right now. It is not my fault at all. I'm getting a phone call. Carry on.
All right, we'll be here when you get back. Yeah. Oh, I hesitate to ask you this, but I kind of want to know.
Go for it. I mean, hey.
But what is it that you do want to do? Like, what does get you excited? What does get your blood pumping?
You know how Jacob was talking about how, like, you know, crazy people study psychology.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you.
Not just psychology, just theology in general and whatnot, you know. But hey, what can you do?
How far into? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got like a ton of books. I just read books for the fun of it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, when they're interesting, they're definitely fun.
Definitely.
Dive into a whole world.
Yeah. I end up making friends with people who love Dostoevsky just for some weird reason. Like, I don't know, I think we find each other like magnets or something.
Yeah. There's like a common thread. I don't think I've ever read Dusky. What is he written again? Remind me. Should I know
Crime
this?
and Punishment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Notes of Underground. Brothers Karamazov. Yeah.
Oh, Brothers Karamazov. Yeah. Everyone's talking about that now. Yeah. That's fun stuff. Yeah. I can see why you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you write?
Not books or anything, just like I journal. That's about it. How about you?
Sometimes good readers make good writers, you know?
Yeah, I end up, was I a good writer? I don't know, I hope so. I end up just being like passionate about one thing and then writing an essay or something about it, and then that's about it, you know? Yeah. I'm not really wedded to a topic or style or anything, so yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you like writing?
I have a love-hate relationship with writing. Yeah.
That's good.
I started. Yeah. Well, you think so?
Yeah. Pity those without love.
Yeah. I started reading and writing both pretty young. So when I went to college, it sort of tainted a little bit my love for writing and reading because, you know, yeah. Well, you understand being forced to sort of subject yourself to all the stuff you're not really interested in. Sort of, I was not having fun with that. So after college, I definitely took a couple of years off of like a lot of reading and writing. And, but nowadays, I'm, getting more back into it. I'd love to. I'm excited to get to the point where I can recapture like the excitement that I felt before. I don't feel like I'm quite there yet, but I know it's there somewhere. So I'm sure
chasing that high. Chasing that high. Yeah.
Nothing like a good high from a book.
Yeah.
It's a sentence I've never heard before.
Some of those books may be feverish, man. Legit.
My food is here, guys. I can only do one thing at a time. Just my little brain.
Yeah, not like me, you know.
No.
Eating those fries and eating and talking.
Right. No.
Right.
I'm gonna drop
pick up a couple tips from me. Yeah.
All right.
See you guys. Thanks for having
me. Have a good one.
Enjoy your food. It's good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
Good talking.
Yeah. How many years into your
college
engineering? Yeah.
2.
Yeah. 2. So
Almost
you've got 2 more or 3 more?
2 more. Maybe
2 more.
3 more. Realistically, 3 more. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did engineering for 1 semester, and then I switched. That was actually a mistake. I should have stayed. For me, it would have been the right choice. But I got scared, and I moved over to communications, which is very different. Did love communications, but the communications bled into media, which I never thought I'd actually use that degree, but interestingly enough, like a lot of the stuff that I learned in college seems very relevant for today's day and age. So I'm finding a lot of that stuff that I suffered through is actually I don't know if you saw the couple of videos I did with Grimm reading that we had posted last week. We have a couple more.
I don't think so. I've
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't seen much of Grimm, and I probably should see more because I hear he's kind of important. So
Well, he's a fun guy. Important depends on your relevance realization,
okay.
right?
Hmm.
But he's a fun guy, and I would definitely recommend it. But we did it. We read through a text that I had from when I was in school. So, like, I've been revisiting a lot of that stuff, and it's more interesting to me now than it was then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, I might need one more. Like, I can do 4 years theoretically if I kind of take the transfer track, but we'll see how that goes. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My parents are clinging on to the dream. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might just tell them that I'd rather do materials engineering, which would be much better than chemical engineering. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I can see that. Who's this Clyde Gaming Kush guy? Do we know him?
No idea. Never heard of him.
Okay.
But hey, he does gaming.
Well, he's talking about sex toys and whatnot. I'm not sure how relevant that is. But he hasn't dropped anything too crazy. So we'll see. No timeout yet. Oh, I really hope I don't get a cold. Oh, I'm furiously drinking this tea. Let's see. What else is on your mind?
You know, I haven't told my priest that I'm like depressed as shit yet. We'll see how that goes.
Do you think he's going to be surprised?
Will he be surprised? He's chill. He's like, he's one of those priests from Egypt where like they're legit being persecuted. Like he's an OG. So
he lives in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ask him like how he's doing, and he's just like, yeah, God is good. So
you know what that reminds me of?
go for it.
I had a therapist. I had this major surgery. I had a couple, but I had one major surgery in 2018. This is quite a couple years back. And I was like in bed for almost a year. I couldn't walk for half of it. I couldn't sit for half of it. I had a hard time walking. So I was like really, really, really down. Really freaking down. And not to get too graphic, but I had like an open wound that whole time, most of the time. And that there's something about that made me, it felt like my soul was like constantly, it was just open, just ripped open. There's something, it felt so unnatural. It felt like I wasn't complete. It's really hard to describe the feeling, but it was just like, there was like a big tear in my soul. And it was just, the whole thing was horrifying. And at one point, I stopped leaving the house. It was just like, well, at some point I couldn't, but when I started walking again, I at that point was so agoraphobic and terrified to leave the house and all this stuff. I had a nurse who would come once a day to help me. And at one point she's like, do you talk to anybody besides for like your sister and your family? And I was like, no. So she pushed me to start going outside. She's like, go to Starbucks, buy one thing, say hi to the cashier. I want you to say at least one word to another human being the entire day, just one word. and then go and then leave. And like, if you've done that, you've done it, and like, good. And so I was like, ah, fine. So I did that for a month, where like every couple days she'd like up the ante. She's like, you got to do 4 words today. Make eye contact with one person and 4 words. I'm like, all right. And then the other thing, and that actually really helped. And then the other thing she did is she recommended me to a therapist who would come to my house. This therapist, why it reminded me, because of your priest. She comes in and I'm, all like telling her why my life is the worst that has ever existed. I'm never going to be happy again, and all of these reasons, right? And at some point, and she just drops it casually at some point, that she has terminal cancer, and it's the 3rd time she's had it. And this is like a cheerful, happy woman who's come to my house. Like, I didn't even go to her office. She like came to see me, and she's totally like servicing me, and she's on borrowed time. Like, she could be gone tomorrow, she could be gone next month, and she's sitting here listening to me bitch on the couch. Which, fair enough, I had a lot of reasons to bitch. Like, legitimate, like, it was fucking tough and painful. So that was just such an interesting. So your priest reminded me of that, because he knows what real suffering and hardship is. And it was so interesting, because I wasn't going to negate my own pain, but it gave me a slightly different perspective. Like, just seeing how she lived her life. And she explained it to me. She's like, look, yeah, I know I'm dying, but like, I thought about it really carefully. I want to spend my time doing the things I love. And I love my family, and I love my job, and I love this, and I love that. So like, why should I quit my job? I've always done home visits, so why should I not continue doing that? I was like, oh, wow, that's okay. And I think I had gone to therapy before, but that was the shortest period of time I ever did it, because it was so freaking effective. I only saw her for like a month or a month and a half, but like it was impossible to like talk to her, and I don't know, it separated like the hubris and the like wallowing, which I'd never been able to do before, from the like real pain and real suffering. Like, I had real pain and suffering, but then it kept bleeding into the like the wallowing of like like the pit of the depression, the pit of the hell, where she somehow enabled me to be like, oh, this is painful. This sucks. I hate this. Like, everything hurts. I can't do this. I can't do that. I used to be able-bodied. I can't work. I can't, all of these things. It's true. But also, like, this is what I've got. Because she was facing death. So I'm like, all right, this is what I've got, and oh, it's so interesting. I don't know how somebody like that was probably the best kind of therapist for me, because the other ones, they were all too soft. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Well, as a little anecdote, I think part of why I'm talking about this is because I want the integration without the wallowing, Like, I don't know. This stuff doesn't go away. Like, and it seems like wallowing is sometimes the only integration you get, And I'd rather have integration without wallowing,
Yeah.
So yeah.
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 No, I hear that. And I don't know. I can't say I understand, how you feel or what you're going through, but I get the frustration of listening to people chatter all day and going, come on, guys. Oh, you're just not getting it,
Yeah.
I get that. But everybody's, just like, well, I'm not going to make excuses for people, but it's more so I think I fall more in line of what Chad was saying, where it's like, it's not really people's job. They're all trying to do the best that they can. And well, I'm only I'm fairly new to this online space. So I kind of look at all of this like a happy accident, and whatever good comes out of it. And like, frankly, try to have low expectations, especially from anything online. But I don't know if that's the right attitude or not. But I could see how frustrating it is for people talking about the meaning crisis. But we're all, man, we're all quite flawed. We're like all very, very human, like really human. Most people don't know much better than the next person. Like, we're all doing the best we can to find the right puzzle pieces for our own lives. And sometimes there's overlap between the puzzle piece that helped me and the puzzle piece that helps you. But I think just because people recognize the meaning crisis, that it exists, we're still very much in it. I don't think that means people know what the answers are. I think that's, I don't know. It's frustrating, but
Yeah. I mean, I think right now it's that, like, people just aren't looking, like, I don't know, everyone's talking about their own tradition and not connecting the meaning crisis to their tradition. Yeah, that's what I'm frustrated with. And it does tie into, like, being depressed, because what usually happens when you tell someone is that, like, yeah, I'm depressed, and then they've got, like, no idea what to do with it. And it's like, you can tell someone and be on the brink, or you can tell someone as, like, an offhand, I don't give a shit, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it'd be really great if people weren't just, like, immediately, oh my god, when you tell them,
Yeah. I think it's because it's like, I think what a lot of people who are not used to dealing with that or having that conversation or experiencing that in any way, it's such this big, scary monster of a thing. They're like, it's so scary, I don't know. And it sort of creates this overlay of identity over you, where it's like they look at you, and because of the alarm, that's all they see. And then they forget the rest of Andrew. And you're like, I am like a whole person here. Like, this is, yes, this is very important, but, like, it doesn't erase
me,
everything else about me, and then you don't want people to act weird about you and around you and stuff like that. I get that. Yeah. For me, it's like something that's very comfortable to talk about, just because of my own experiences. I think my first experience of having suicidal thoughts was at like 12. So I'm 33 now. So, yeah. And, various points in my life. Thankfully, I'm happy to be here now, but I go in and out. I do. It's but it doesn't freak me out anymore. At some point it did, but it doesn't. Like, I understand a lot more now, and I understand what helps me specifically more now. I have like a list of stuff to do or people to call because I forget. So, like, I've made my own little cheat sheet of, like, all right, if you're, but yeah. And then it seems like this is very sad. I'm, like, not happy about this at all. But in the past couple of years, the past 2-3 years, the amount of conversations I've had with people who have been suicidal, it's just more than I can count. And, like, that's very upsetting to me. I know some people who have actually. I know one person who has in the last 2 years. A young girl. She's like 12. It's very sad. It's just tragic. And thankfully, all the other people I talked to have not. But it's like, yeah, it seems to be a big, big problem. And I do think it has a lot to do. Everybody's individual. So this is not a one-size-fits-all, but I do think it has a lot to do with, for a good number of people not living the lives that they want to live. And there's only so long you can do that. That's why I asked how much longer you have in school. It's like 3 years versus 1 year is a very big difference, or 2 years versus 4 years. It's like a massive difference. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. People are saying things. Sorry, guys. It's really hard for me to do chat and have a conversation at once. Like, if I'm talking to someone, I can't. Well, it's rude to text at the same time, but I'll literally be like, "Can you give me 60 seconds? I need to send this now." I can't. My brain can't do the reading and the talking and the thinking. It just.
Yeah.
I can't do it. But let's see what people say. Chad says, "Thank you, Nechama, you speak my language." Mark says, "We told folks to socially distance. That's what you get." Yes, don't social distance. It's a terrible idea. And it's been known in our psychology and science that, what's the word I'm looking for? Solitary confinement is one of the most cruel punishments you can give a person, because it is shown like 100% of the time to eventually cause insanity. And so socially distancing causes insanity. It's like, let's be very clear about that. That was a bad idea for us to do as a planet, folks. Bad idea. Let's not do that again, please. Just really dumb. Really, really dumb. That's my opinion. So, okay, I don't know. Oh, he's talking to Charlie, so you guys are having a conversation. Mark says people being told they can live any way they want, or what living life is. Peterson has success with life is suffering. Let's see. Pick says, one of the things I love about TLC is the mixture between a more therapeutic talkie space and a mixture of all ideas. That's good. What are you thinking about?
You know, Peterson helped in high school because I figured like I was doing this stuff I hated, but I was actually going to go somewhere. But honestly, I think the people in high school were more mature than like whatever people are in college. So
yeah. Kind of my experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also went to private all girls school for high school, and then I went to community college, and then I went to NYU, and just each stage was just a evolution from the next. Like going from like community college to NYU, I was like, oh, NYU is gonna be. It was not. It was like a few. Like insanity ramped up, like everything, depression ramped up. It was ridiculous, but in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense. Just more pressure in NYU, and so it's just a culture of like anxiety and Adderall, and it was not. It was not in NYU in the library. There's a beautiful library, the Bopst Library in Manhattan, Washington Square, and it's got this ginormous atrium, and there's about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 stories. So you see, you know, all 6 stories, and they had to build a floor to ceiling just barrier because, you know, to avoid suicides, people around finals time and stuff like that. It's just too much pressure.
Yeah, the windows at our dorms don't open all the way.
Yeah. And it's just so weird. Like I remember being in the library and just looking at, and just, it's such an unnatural, unhealthy environment. Like if your environment requires you to create a physical barrier because that many people are in that state so much of the time, I was like, what am I doing here? This is like, yeah. But, you know, we live in a society. We're bumbly, ridiculous humans, and we do all sorts of strange things. Mark says Nechama is think or talkie, not both at the same time. I'm not sure what that means, Mark, but it sounds nice. It sounds like a compliment. I'm gonna take it as a compliment. Do you know what that means? Think or
Don't think
talk.
while you talk. Don't talk while you think. I don't know. Question.
Oh, maybe he's saying like sometimes I do the thinking, like the thinking, and then sometimes it's more just chatty. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a good sign that something is wrong is if so many are committing suicide. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When I went to NYU was also when all the woke stuff started happening there.
Mm.
So I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, it's practically the culture nowadays. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't see how long it could last. I don't know. It's got to burn itself out at some point. It will. It will. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. But it's absolutely not sustainable. Nechama ignores Randos United. Oh dear. Hold on a second. I'm looking at the StreamYard for comments, but does StreamYard not show all of them?
I mean, it should.
Right? Oh, it says some destinations won't get comments, but there's a big check by the randos. I don't know. Sorry, Phoebus. I don't know. I'm not sure how to change that. Oh, he says, just kidding, it's me. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll hang out a little longer. You don't have admin, right?
No, I don't think so. My battery's about to die anyway, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So we can hang around till then. It's 1 a.m. here, so I should go to sleep. Yeah.
Whenever you want to stop, just go for it, you know?
Oh, I want to ask you a little bit more about your, was it priest? Did I get the title?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more about this guy.
Mm. So he's, I think he's like in his 60s or 70s, somewhere around there. Long white beard, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaky hands. He's real.
He's the real deal.
Yep. He's like hardcore, but he's soft, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. How long do you know him?
About a year and a month, so yeah.
It might be good to talk to him.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know how to bring that up in like normal conversation though. Like,
Yeah.
by the way, ever since 8th grade.
I mean, he's probably seen a lot.
Yeah.
He's an experienced man, you know? But I get it. I get the anxiety because you never really know how people are going to respond. And the one pet peeve of mine has always been like the frustration of feeling or thinking like I need to take care of somebody else's feelings about my experience. And it's like, it's just tiresome and it's like an extra layer. But he sounds like a wise old guy. So hopefully that's not the case, you know?
Yeah. I just like don't want to bring it up if it's not necessary, you know? Like, you know how I think they do like confession before you're baptized. It'd be funny if I just like brought it up then and he's like, yeah, we have to deal with that a bit more.
Oh dear. I mean, you could. That's one way to go. Yeah. If you're looking for an opportunity. Wow. Yeah. I mean, sometimes talking about it kind of takes the air out of it. You know what I mean? Makes it a little less of this big, scary thing. With the right people, obviously. You know? So, mm. Wow. Well, this has been nice. It went much longer than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a good chat.
Yep.
Hmm. Did I just get a notification? No. Let's see if anybody else has anything to say. Charlie says, ever since 8th grade is a lot easier to say at 20 than at 35. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Oh, Charlie's been trying to figure out how to join. I don't know, Charlie. I don't know. M. Wood says talk therapy is like curing cancer with a sugar pill. I think it depends. I think one thing that people think it depends. I think it's really specific to the situation. I think it depends on the therapist. I think it depends on what the problems are, whether they'll be helped by talk therapy or not. One thing that people aren't aware of is that complex PTSD, as opposed to PTSD, but complex PTSD is actually triggered by talk therapy. And a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people don't know that they have CPTSD. So that's an area that people could get caught up in with talk therapy re-triggering them sort of constantly. But in other cases, talk therapy is exactly what is helpful and needed. So it depends. It really depends what the problem is. That's why I don't like going straight to the just go to therapy, just get pills, just this, just that, because I think it's so specific to an individual what is going on. So I don't think it makes sense to prescribe things to everybody carte blanche.
Yeah.
I'd rather get to a root of an issue and then go from there. Oh, I think Andrew's battery might have died. Let's see if he comes back. I'll give it a minute or two, I think. But his battery must have gone. Mm-mm-mm. Yep, that's it. That's the story, folks. All right. Phlebas says, agreed. Frustrating when you want to talk to a pastor or elder and they want to send you to a professional right away. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a big void in not a lot of people don't have someone to talk to. And sometimes having someone to talk to is one of the problems. And if you have someone to talk to, you can solve that problem. But like Andrew was saying, not everybody knows how to respond in a way. Not everyone is equipped to be a helpful talking partner. So it's good to think about who might be useful to talk to about a specific thing. Professionalization movement in churches over a decade has been frustrating me. I don't know what that is, but I hear you. Sire says a lot of advocates basically tell pastors they should just forward to professional nowadays. Yeah. A lot of this stuff is intimidating for people to deal with, or conversely, if they know they're not equipped to, then it is the responsible thing for them to pass it on. But I don't know, but Paul talks about pastoral care. My father's a rabbi. I've seen him, for decades, be a rabbi to a congregation. And a big part of that is this kind of support. And he would do a lot of that, talking to people in the evening, you know, helping people through their marriages, helping them through their internal struggles, things like that. It's a lot of that stuff, community care. Okay. Well, this has been lovely. It's very, very late, so I'm going to call it a night. Definitely looking forward to the next chat. Working in tandem rather than forwarding seems to be the better move. Yes, the whole village thing feels like the abdication of pastoral responsibility to just hand somebody off. I hear you. Yeah, I hear that. Okay. All right. As fun of a time as I'm having, I'm going to thank you all for being here, and I'll wish you guys a good night. I'll see you all soon, or a good day. It's a good day for a good bunch of you, so I'll see you all soon. Wait, I have to end broadcast, right? End broadcast. Okay. Oh, and well, Andrew won't see this. I wanted to thank him for coming on, but he won't see this, so I'll tell him that next time.